My name's Drayton. I'm a motion picture cinematographer and have been for almost 20 years now, actually a little more than 20 years. I'm in the process of writing a memoir. I just went through terminal cancer. I spent the last 2 years in radiation and chemotherapy, basically just battling for my life. And I wanted to write a memoir about that experience because I found the experience of surviving cancer to be transcendental in a certain sense. It really forces you to stop, assess your life, assess what you've been doing, what your values are, and you go inside and you face your demons. I endured months of chemo and radiation. Living with terminal illness put the afterburners on, compelled me to make the most of whatever time I had left, and leave something behind if I didn't survive. We tend to think of cancer as a runaway replication of cells, the body copying itself into oblivion. Yet it served me more to think of cancer as possessing a will of its own, a demonic force invading the nation of my body, turning my body's own processes against itself. Cancer easily spreads from one part of the body to another, and when it does, it usually kills the host. I was at stage 4 terminal. It had grown beyond the initial tumor, metastasized, invaded my lymphatic system, and ran amok in my bloodstream. It could turn up anywhere in my body at any time, and I lived in daily terror, the thought of my own cells turning against me, like sleeper cells, wreaking havoc, shutting down the systems of my body one by one in ultimate self-interest. My experience with cancer is akin to witnessing the spread of woke ideology. This ideology infects people, corrodes our institutions, news media, politicians, and even our ability to speak to one another. Its spread is being accelerated by my own industry, who market it as a timely movement to help the oppressed. Those who subscribe to it generally have good intentions, believing they're in a cosmic battle of good versus evil, that they must eradicate that evil and bring about justice on Earth.
You put your hands on me and I'll beat the hell out of you!
Fuck white America!
Today, the city burns! Today, we get justice! No peace! No justice! No peace!
Unfortunately, a large number of people, believing they're acting in the name of justice, including social justice, seem to think that you can play groups of people against other groups in order to win. So, for instance, they actually speak and act as though the way to solve any remaining issues of racial injustice is to defame and insult all white people. These are people who seem to believe that if there are remaining ceilings preventing women from getting to certain positions in society, they should insult and speak in a derogatory manner about all men. As if this society does have any remaining problems about homosexuality, they should get through that by insulting all heterosexuals. This isn't a solution for justice, it's a solution for endless ongoing division.
Cancer has one design: to co-opt the systems of the body in order to serve itself. The fight to survive slowly consumed my every waking moment and even took over my entire identity. In a similar way, woke ideology doesn't allow people to think freely. It is a totalitarian thought system that doesn't permit deviation. Every concept must be transformed, and everything one thinks about the world must be understood through the lens of woke social justice. Just as cancer cells devour the body, woke justice corrodes one's ability to think objectively, consumes people's identities, and creates chaos and destruction in its path. If you show up as an authentic individual in any way, shape, or form where the woke ideology holds sway, well, we will take away your ability to support yourself, we'll take away your ability to eat, we'll take away your ability to own anything. It's deeply dystopian.
It's lazy to just set somebody off and say, I don't care about their life anymore and I don't want this person to have any way back ever. If that's the modus operandi you're going to live by, you better be careful. Because absolutely, this will come for you. And you've set it up.
I have actually been fired, I've been replaced for not towing the line. There was one instance in particular actually related to Black Lives Matter when there was a producer. We were having a production meeting. I'd just been hired on to a show as its DP. And this person, they kept mentioning Black Lives Matter and then looking over at me for validation. And I was just completely gray rock, stone-faced, not giving them anything. And they noticed that in the meeting, so they took me aside and they asked me later on, well, did that bother you? And I said, yeah, just so you know, I don't support Black Lives Matter. I went home, didn't think much of it. The next morning I got a call from, the production team saying that I was off the show. I always bristle a little bit when people, they say something like, oh, I support Black Lives Matter as a way to score points with me. I always point out to them, I said, well, what makes you think that I agree with Black Lives Matter? Should you not take me as an individual and ask me for my opinion? When I encounter someone who is a proponent of Black Lives Matter and it comes up in conversation, I assume that they are a good person and they feel that they are doing the right thing. They feel that they're supporting an organization that is supposed to be helping people, but they just haven't done the research to really understand the broader implications of a lot of what the Black Lives Matter movement stands for and is involved with. Black Lives Matter are only interested in the kind of blackness that they can exploit through the standpoint of victimhood. And I think that's extraordinarily unhealthy. Certainly, if Black lives actually did matter to BLM, they would be talking about the black on black crime rates. They would be talking about the dissolution and destruction of Black families. They don't talk about those things at all.
Where's the racist cop now? Black Lives Matter! Black Lives Matter! We don't care it! Shut it down!
Woke ideology makes people believe that our entire society is corrupt and needs to be overthrown because of the false assertion that all inequities stem from systemic racism, sexism, and powerful oppressive elites. This belief blinds the woke and causes them to think that there are only two options: support their righteous cause or join the forces of evil and become an enemy to be destroyed.
If it doesn't cool down, we will see more murder in the street. And I would hope that people wouldn't say, well, my movement says that that's okay.
I am not sad that a fucking fascist died tonight.
I believe anybody that does that contains the seeds of their own destruction.
The all-encompassing nature of woke ideology is a problem so pervasive that it exists in nearly every corner of our society, far beyond its manifestations in our streets. It is now found in private and public sectors wherein diversity training based on the extremely divisive critical race theory is mandatory. And schools even teach children they're evil if they're white, or a doomed victim if they're black. It has also taken over the film industry, which has been rather difficult for me to navigate. I think that part of how I've contributed to the problem is that I haven't felt empowered to speak up. I haven't said to these people, hey, just so you know, you calling me and you saying, we want a diverse crew, so we'd love to bring you on as a DP, I find that really demeaning. I didn't speak up for the longest time, and I internalized the stress, the futility, and the hopelessness I was feeling, which was devastating to my immune system, and may have even led to me developing cancer. In order to beat cancer, it has taken every ounce of willpower to accept and endure radiation and chemo, but moreover to choose to believe I have meaning and a purpose to fight for. Sometimes the only way to get rid of cancer is to cut it out, and the only way to stop the corrosive spread of woke ideology and keep it from eating away at every aspect of our society is to make the necessary incisions and to be chemotherapy. Create an environment in which the cancer cannot thrive. Speak up when you see it and point out its lies. The truth is that the West has made progress and continues to do so in regards to race relations, overcoming sexism, criminal justice reform, and more. The truth is that unequal outcomes aren't bad in and of themselves and generally reflect the natural outcomes of a competitive and productive society. A society that does care about its weak and vulnerable, as is seen in many social programs that help marginalized people in the public and private spheres alike. Every time we hear unfounded claims made to push the woke narrative, we must use truth and reason to push back. Every time someone is unfairly attacked by woke mobs, we must support them. The only way through this adversity is to shine the light of truth and reason on this problem and support one another as we overcome it.
People can do anything. People can transcend anything. And I think it's really important to let the ideologies go and just get back to the simple business of being human beings again. That's all.